5 habits that changed your life in 1 week. Buddhism. What if I told you that in just 1 week, you could transform your life? Not with drastic changes or overwhelming routines, but with simple, powerful habits rooted in Buddhist wisdom. Habits that can bring peace, clarity, and joy into your everyday life. Sounds too good to be true? Stick around, because I'm about to share the 5 practices that completely changed my life, and they can change yours too. Imagine waking up each morning with a sense of purpose, moving through your day with intention, and ending each evening with gratitude. These habits aren't just about productivity or self-improvement. They're about reconnecting with yourself and the world around you. So if you're ready to take the first step toward a more mindful, fulfilling life, let's dive in. Habit 1. Waking up early. Embrace the stillness of dawn. Let's begin with the first habit that changed my life, waking up early. Now, I'll be honest, I was never a morning person. My bed was my sanctuary, my safe haven, and hitting the snooze button was my sacred morning ritual. Mornings were chaotic, rushed, and often left me feeling like I was already behind before the day even began. It was as if I was running a race I hadn't signed up for, and the starting gun had gone off without me. But then, something shifted. I decided to give waking up early a try. I set my alarm for 5 a.m., and let me tell you, the first few days were brutal. I dragged myself out of bed, groggy and questioning every life choice that had led me to this moment. My body protested, my mind rebelled, and I wondered if this was even worth it. But by the 3rd day, something magical happened. I began to appreciate the stillness of the early morning hours. There's something profoundly peaceful about being awake before the rest of the world. The quiet, the calm, the soft light of dawn, it's like the universe is whispering its secrets to you. It's a time when the world feels untouched, unspoiled, and full of possibilities. During these early hours, I found time for things I never seemed to have time for before. I started my day with light exercise, just some stretching or a short walk around the neighborhood. This wasn't about pushing myself to the limit or breaking a sweat. It was about gently waking up my body and mind. And you know what? It worked. Those few minutes of movement not only woke me up, but also energized me for the day ahead. I also spent time meditating and setting my intentions for the day. As the Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. These moments of mindfulness helped me cultivate a sense of inner peace and clarity that carried me through the day. It was like planting seeds of calm in the fertile soil of my mind, knowing they would grow into a harvest of focus and serenity as the day unfolded. One morning, as I sat on my balcony watching the sunrise, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, and the world slowly came to life. Birds began to chirp. The first rays of sunlight kissed the earth, and I felt a profound connection to the universe. In that moment, I realized the power of waking up early. It's not just about having more hours in the day, but about starting your day with intention and mindfulness. It's about creating a sacred space for yourself, a time when you can be fully present, fully alive, and fully you. It's about reclaiming your mornings from the chaos of the world and turning them into a sanctuary of peace and possibility. If you're not a morning person, I encourage you to give it a try. Start by waking up just 15 minutes earlier than usual. Gradually increase the time and see how it transforms your life. You don't have to jump straight to 5 a.m. Small, consistent steps are the key to lasting change. And here's the thing, waking up early isn't just about the extra time. It's about the quality of that time. It's about giving yourself the gift of stillness, of silence, of presence. It's about starting your day on your own terms, rather than rushing into it like a storm. As the Buddha taught, each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. When you wake up early, you give yourself the opportunity to be reborn each day, to set your intentions, to align with your purpose, and to step into the world with a heart full of gratitude and a mind full of clarity. So, dear friend, I invite you to embrace the stillness of dawn, to rise with the sun, not out of obligation, but out of love for yourself and the life you're creating. To greet each day as a new beginning, a fresh canvas waiting for your brushstrokes. Because here's the truth. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. And when you start it with intention, with mindfulness, and with a heart full of gratitude, you'll find that the rest of the day flows with a sense of ease and grace. So take that first step. Set your alarm a little earlier tomorrow, and when it goes off, don't hit snooze. Instead, take a deep breath, rise with the dawn, and embrace the stillness. You might just find that it's the most beautiful part of your day. Habit 2. Daily exercise. Move your body, free your mind. The second habit that transformed my life was daily exercise. Now let me be honest, I wasn't always the most active person. In fact, I used to find every excuse in the book to avoid working out. I'm too tired, don't have time, or the classic, I'll start tomorrow were my go-to phrases. Sound familiar? But one day, something inside me shifted. I realized that my body wasn't just a vessel carrying me through life. It was a temple, a sacred space that deserved care and attention. So I made a commitment to move my body every single day for a week. I started small, just 20 minutes a day, mixing it up between yoga, jogging, and strength training. The first few days were tough. My muscles ached, my energy levels dipped, and I questioned whether this was worth the effort. But by the fourth day, something incredible happened. I woke up feeling more energized, my mood improved, and I felt a sense of clarity I hadn't experienced in years. As the Buddha taught, to keep the body in good health is a duty, otherwise we shall not be able to keep our minds strong and clear. Exercise became my time to disconnect from the world and reconnect with myself. It wasn't just about burning calories or building muscle, it was about self-care and mental clarity. One morning, I went for a jog, and as I ran, I felt a sense of freedom and connection to the world around me. The crisp air, the open road, and the rhythm of my footsteps, it was a moment of pure mindfulness. I wasn't just running, I was flowing, moving in harmony with the earth and my own breath. It was as if the world had slowed down, and for those precious minutes, I was fully present, fully alive. Exercise, I realized, wasn't just about physical health, it was a form of moving meditation. When I practiced yoga, I learned to breathe deeply, to stretch not just my body, but also my mind. Each pose became a metaphor for life, sometimes challenging, sometimes uncomfortable, but always leading to growth and balance. And then there was strength training. At first, I thought it was just about lifting weights, but I soon discovered it was about lifting myself. Each rep, each set, was a reminder of my own resilience, my own ability to push through discomfort and come out stronger on the other side. If you're struggling to get started, my advice is to start small. Find something you enjoy, whether it's dancing, hiking, or even just a brisk walk, and commit to just a few minutes a day. Trust me, the benefits you'll experience will be well worth the effort. Here's the thing, exercise isn't about perfection. It's not about having the perfect body or following the latest fitness trend. It's about showing up for yourself day after day and honoring the incredible gift of your body. As the Buddha said, your body is precious. It is your vehicle for awakening. Treat it with care. When you move your body, you're not just strengthening your muscles, you're strengthening your mind, your spirit, and your connection to the world around you. So take that first step, lace up your sneakers, roll out your yoga mat, or simply step outside and take a deep breath. Move your body, not because you have to, but because you deserve to feel strong, vibrant, and alive. And remember, it's not about how far or how fast you go. It's about the journey. It's about showing up day after day and saying yes to yourself. Because when you move your body, you free your mind. And when you free your mind, you open your heart to the infinite possibilities of life. Habit 3. Journaling. A conversation with your soul. The third habit that changed my life was journaling. Now, I'll admit, I used to think journaling was just for people who had loads of free time or were naturally introspective. You know, the kind of people who sit in coffee shops with a leather-bound notebook, sipping herbal tea and pondering the meaning of life. That wasn't me. I was too busy, too distracted, too caught up in the whirlwind of daily life to even consider sitting down and writing about my thoughts. But then, something shifted. I decided to give journaling a try. Just 10 minutes a night before bed. I bought a simple notebook, grabbed a pen, and started writing. At first, it felt awkward, like trying to have a conversation with a stranger. But as the days went by, something incredible happened. It stopped being awkward and started feeling like a conversation with my soul. I began by writing about my day, the highs, the lows, the mundane moments in between. But soon, I found myself diving deeper. I wrote about my fears, my dreams, my insecurities, and even the things I was too afraid to say out loud. It was like peeling back the layers of an onion, each page revealing a little more of who I truly was. As the days turned into weeks, I began to notice patterns in my thoughts and behaviors. I realized that some of the things I worried about were completely out of my control, like the weather or other people's opinions. But others were areas where I could take actionable steps. Journaling became a mirror, reflecting back to me the parts of my life that needed attention, care, and change. One night, I wrote about a particularly stressful day at work. I poured out my frustrations, my anxieties, and my doubts onto the page. And you know what? It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. By putting my thoughts on paper, I was able to process my emotions and gain clarity. It was as if the act of writing untangled the knots in my mind, leaving me with a sense of peace and understanding. I also started a gratitude section in my journal. Every night, I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for. Some days, it was big things, like the love of my family or a beautiful sunset. Other days, it was small things, like a warm cup of tea or a kind word from a stranger. This simple practice shifted my focus from what was lacking in my life to appreciating what I already had. As the Buddha said, "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little." Journaling became a form of therapy, a way to untangle the complex web of thoughts and emotions that we all carry around. It was a safe space where I could be completely honest with myself without fear of judgment or criticism. One of the most powerful aspects of journaling was its ability to help me track my progress. I wrote down small victories and milestones, no matter how minor they seemed. Looking back at these entries filled me with a sense of accomplishment and motivated me to keep pushing forward. For instance, I wrote about a presentation I was nervous about and how I prepared for it. Seeing my preparation process and the positive outcome documented in my journal was incredibly encouraging. Journaling also taught me the importance of self-compassion. There were days when my entries were filled with self-doubt and criticism. But over time, I learned to approach myself with kindness and understanding. I began to see my struggles not as failures, but as opportunities for growth and learning. If you've never tried journaling, I highly encourage you to start. Don't worry about writing perfectly. Just write whatever comes to mind. It could be a stream of consciousness, a recap of your day, or reflections on a specific event. Give yourself the freedom to express whatever you're feeling. You might be surprised at how much clarity and peace it brings into your life. Here's the thing. Journaling isn't about creating a masterpiece. It's about the process of writing itself. It's about giving yourself the space to explore your thoughts, your emotions, and your dreams. It's about having a conversation with your soul and listening to what it has to say. As the Buddha taught, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. When you journal, you're not just writing words on a page. You're shaping your thoughts, your beliefs, and your reality. You're creating a space where you can be fully yourself, without masks or pretenses. So grab a notebook, find a quiet corner, and start writing. Let your thoughts flow freely, without judgment or censorship. You might just discover that journaling is the key to unlocking your inner wisdom, your inner peace, and your inner joy. Because here's the truth. Life is messy, complicated, and often overwhelming. But when you take the time to sit down and write, you create a moment of stillness, a moment of clarity, a moment of connection with yourself. And in that moment, you'll find the strength, the courage, and the wisdom to navigate whatever life throws your way. Habit 4, mindful eating. Savor every bite. The fourth habit that transformed my life was mindful eating. Like many people, I used to eat on the go, barely paying attention to what or how much I was consuming. My meals were often rushed and distracted affairs, eaten while scrolling through my phone, answering emails, or watching TV. Food had become just another item on my to-do list, something to check off so I could move on to the next task. But then, something shifted. I realized that eating wasn't just about fueling my body, it was about nourishing my soul. So I decided to give mindful eating a try. And let me tell you, it changed everything. Mindful eating is all about paying full attention to the experience of eating and drinking. It's about savoring each bite, noticing the flavors, textures, and even the sounds of your food. It's about being fully present, fully engaged, and fully alive in the moment. I started by setting the scene for my meals. I cleared my dining table, set a nice place for myself, and removed any distractions. No phone, no TV, no laptop. At first, it felt strange. Sitting quietly with my meal, without the usual noise and chaos, was almost unsettling. But it quickly became a calming ritual, a sacred pause in my day. One of the first things I noticed was how much more I enjoyed my food. Foods I had eaten hundreds of times before suddenly had new, delightful flavors and textures. It was like experiencing food in high definition. The crunch of fresh vegetables, the sweetness of ripe fruit, the warmth of a homemade soup. Each bite was a revelation. As the Buddha taught, when you eat, just eat. By eating slowly and mindfully, I gave my body time to signal when it was full. This was a big shift for me, as I used to eat quickly and often ended up overeating. I realized that I had been eating not out of hunger, but out of habit, stress, or boredom. Mindful eating helped me reconnect with my body's natural cues and develop a healthier relationship with food. One of the most memorable experiences was with a simple bowl of oatmeal. Normally, I would wolf it down without a second thought. But this time, I took it slow. I noticed the creamy texture, the subtle sweetness of the honey, the warmth of the milk. It was a moment of pure gratitude and mindfulness, a reminder that even the simplest things in life can bring joy when we take the time to appreciate them. I also started to notice how different foods made me feel. Heavy, processed foods left me feeling sluggish and bloated, while fresh, whole foods made me feel energized and light. This awareness led me to make healthier choices naturally, without feeling deprived or restricted. Another powerful aspect of mindful eating is being aware of the emotional connections we have with food. I started to recognize when I was eating out of boredom, stress, or emotional comfort rather than true hunger. This awareness was transformative. Instead of mindlessly snacking, I could address the underlying emotion. Maybe I needed a break, some relaxation, or a chat with a friend rather than a bag of chips. There was one particular evening when I had a craving for something sweet after dinner. Instead of automatically reaching for dessert, I paused and asked myself if I was truly hungry or just seeking a reward after a long day. I realized I wasn't actually hungry and opted for a warm cup of herbal tea instead. It was a small victory, but it highlighted how powerful mindful eating can be. If you're interested in trying mindful eating, start with just one meal a day. Sit down without distractions, take a few deep breaths, and savor each bite. Pay attention to the flavors, textures, and how the food makes you feel. You might be surprised at how this simple practice can change your entire eating experience. Here's the thing. Mindful eating isn't about following strict rules or depriving yourself. It's about cultivating awareness and gratitude for the food you eat. It's about honoring the journey that brought the food to your plate, the farmers who grew it, the hands that prepared it, and the earth that nourished it. As the Buddha said, happiness is not in having what you want, but in wanting what you have. When you eat mindfully, you're not just nourishing your body, you're nourishing your soul. You're creating a moment of connection, a moment of peace, a moment of joy. So the next time you sit down to eat, take a deep breath, put away your phone, turn off the TV, and give yourself the gift of presence. Savor each bite, not just with your taste buds, but with your whole being. Let the act of eating become a meditation, a celebration, a reminder of the abundance and beauty of life. Because here's the truth, food is more than just fuel. It's a gift, a blessing, a source of joy and connection. And when you eat mindfully, you honor that gift. You honor yourself, and you honor the world around you. Habit 5. Limiting screen time. Reconnect with the real world. The fifth and final habit that changed my life was limiting screen time. In today's digital world, it's so easy to get sucked into endless hours of scrolling through social media, binge-watching shows, or checking emails. Our screens have become a constant presence, a never-ending stream of notifications, updates, and distractions. But I realized that all this screen time was taking a toll on my mental health, productivity, and even my sleep. So, I decided to set some boundaries. I limited my non-work-related screen time to just 1 hour a day. At first, it felt like an impossible task. My phone was practically glued to my hand, and the thought of disconnecting felt like cutting off a lifeline. But I knew I needed to make a change. The first few days were tough. I found myself reaching for my phone out of habit, only to remember my new rule. But as the days turned into weeks, something incredible happened. I began to reconnect with the real world. With the extra time, I rediscovered old hobbies and interests that I had neglected. I picked up a book I had been meaning to read, started doodling and drawing again, and even tried my hand at cooking new recipes. It was like reawakening parts of myself that had been dormant for years. One evening, instead of watching TV after dinner, I took a walk in the park. The fresh air, the sounds of nature, and the simple act of moving my body felt incredibly rejuvenating. It was a stark contrast to the usual screen-induced lethargy I had grown accustomed to. That walk became a cherished part of my daily routine, something I looked forward to and enjoyed immensely. As the Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." By limiting screen time, I was able to reconnect with myself and the world around me. I felt less anxious, more present, and more engaged in my daily activities. It was like a fog had lifted, allowing me to see and experience life more clearly. I also noticed improvements in my sleep quality. I used to take my phone to bed, scrolling through social media or watching videos until I felt sleepy. But this habit often left me feeling wired and restless, leading to poor sleep. By limiting screen time, especially before bed, I found it much easier to wind down and fall asleep. I started a bedtime routine that didn't involve screens, reading a physical book, meditating, or simply reflecting on my day. This change led to deeper, more restful sleep and made a huge difference in my overall energy levels. Another significant change was in my mental health. Without the constant barrage of news updates, social media comparisons, and digital distractions, I felt less anxious and more present. I was more focused during conversations, more attentive to the people around me, and more engaged in my daily activities. It was like I had reclaimed my mind from the clutches of the digital world. One particularly memorable day was when I spent an entire afternoon at a local cafe with just a notebook and a pen. I wrote down my thoughts, planned some goals, and even sketched a bit. It was such a peaceful and productive time, free from digital interruptions. I felt more connected to myself and my surroundings in a way that screens had never allowed. Of course, there were moments of temptation and slips along the way. But each time I noticed myself reaching for my phone out of habit, I gently reminded myself of the benefits I was experiencing and redirected my focus to something more fulfilling. Limiting screen time isn't about completely eliminating technology from your life. It's about creating a healthier balance and being more intentional with your time. If you're feeling overwhelmed or disconnected, I encourage you to try setting some screen time boundaries. Start small, maybe with an hour less each day, and gradually increase it. Use that extra time to reconnect with yourself, your loved ones, and the world around you. Here's the thing, life is happening right now, right in front of you. The laughter of a loved one, the beauty of a sunset, the warmth of a hug, these are the moments that truly matter. And when you're constantly glued to a screen, you miss out on these precious experiences. As the Buddha taught, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. When you limit screen time, you're not just freeing up your schedule, you're freeing up your mind. You're creating space for creativity, for connection, for peace. So take that first step. Put down your phone, step away from the screen, and reconnect with the real world. Go for a walk, read a book, have a conversation with a friend, or simply sit in silence and breathe. You might just find that the world is more beautiful, more vibrant, and more alive than you ever realized. Because here's the truth. The real world is waiting for you, and it's far more magical than anything you'll find on a screen. And there you have it. 5 habits that completely transformed my life in just 1 week. These practices, rooted in Buddhist wisdom, have the power to bring peace, clarity, and joy into your life. If you've been inspired by any of these habits, I encourage you to try them out for yourself. Start small and see how it feels. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. As the Buddha taught, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. So take that first step and watch as your life transforms, one mindful moment at a time. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit from these habits. Until next time, stay mindful, stay present, and keep growing.